Heart was good.
What's good?
For the people who don't know you, introduce yourself and what it is you do.
My name is Auri, and I am the tax lady.
All right. Where are you from?
I am from Denver originally, but I spent. Oh, okay.
You ain't got me. No, we good. We good.
Okay.
We good.
I'm from Denver originally, but I have lived in Phoenix, Arizona, Atlanta, and my most recent travel, like extended travel, was Colombia, like South America. So
For how long?
I lived there for close to 3 years.
Oh, how was that?
An adventure. I learned how to speak Spanish, so it was a worthwhile adventure.
I ain't never been out the country, so.
Gotta do it. Gotta get that passport, man. It's a different lifestyle.
Man, Colombia sounds lit.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was thinking straight cocaine. Think about cocaine
Most
immediately.
people do, yeah.
So your childhood was in Colorado?
Mm-hmm. I was here till I was 18.
Oh, then you started moving around.
Yep.
So like, what school did you go to?
I went to Denver School of Science and Technology, the original one on Montview.
The real one?
Yep.
Okay.
I was part of the second graduating class.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up out here?
It was cool. I was a bit of a nerd, but then I had this side of me that was like adventurous as well. So I would get on the bus and move around. I spent a lot of time in Montbello because when I was in my little teenage adolescent years, I was dating a guy from Montbello, which if you haven't dated a guy from Montbello, you probably haven't experienced Denver culture.
Type of shit. What about the east side?
I'm from the east side originally, but I never really dealt with any guys over there. I just had my little Montbello boyfriend, and it was an interesting experience, my childhood, but it was good.
She showing love to Montbello. That was dope. I ain't never heard that shit before. All right, we're gonna transition to what you actually do. You know what I'm saying? So, what made you fall in love with tax prep?
That is a good question. So originally I wasn't in love with taxes. When I turned 18, I went to Arizona. I was studying architecture, and it was a crazy journey because like I've always been artistic. I can draw. And so I was like, at DSST, they were pushing us to become engineers. And I was like, I want to like blend the engineer side with the fact that I can draw. So I was like, I'll do architecture. Got out there, realized it wasn't for me. And so I was kind of lost in college, like literally 18 years old, had no clue what I wanted to do. And I felt like I needed to declare a major. So I started to go around and sit in the different schools and the different lectures, and that business school got me. So I declared my major in finance, got did my 4 years, got my bachelor's degree in finance at ASU, and then I went on to get my master's degree in accountancy. Still had never really done any tax stuff though throughout my whole educational career. The tax piece came from when I started investing in the stock market. I got a little tax packet that was like this thick, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I ended up going to a Liberty Tax, and the woman that owned the Liberty Tax taught me how to do my own taxes, and I was obsessed after that. So.
Damn. That's good. I'm gonna pause real quick so I can shut this door.
Okay.
They'll walk right in this motherfucker. All right, so you fell in love with it after the Liberty Tax lady.
Yeah.
Kind of put you on game.
She definitely put me on game. She was making over $1 million in that one Liberty Tax business.
Oh yeah, that definitely motivates you.
Their door just spins. Like if you've ever seen an H&R Block, it's just people coming in because of the name is trusted, right?
Yeah.
And so it motivated me because I was like, that's what I want. So I spent 10 years trying to figure out how I could have my own version of Liberty Tax, but not have to go through like a franchise. Like I wanted it to be mine.
And you did that shit.
Yeah.
So at what point in that process did you know, like, I'm real good at this shit?
I doubted myself for a long time. I'm not gonna lie. I think you all, like, anytime you're in business, you go through this phase where you're like, am I an understudy or am I a professional? Especially if you've like gone to school and you've learned a lot in books. Books does not equate to experience, and you find that out in real time after you leave school and you get put into a real world environment, and all of that memorization doesn't mean anything. It's application. So I played the understudy role for a little while I was in Atlanta. After I got my master's degree, I still was like wanted to get experience. So what I would do is I would partner with other certified accountants, CPAs, enrolled agents, people that had gone through and did their different levels of certification. I would go work for them just to like make sure I had somebody that if I didn't know what I was doing, I could ask an expert, but I still got a lot of experience and exposure. And after about 4 years of doing that, I was like, you know what? I'm over here getting paid $15, $16 an hour. They're taking the lion's share. I'm doing all the work. Every now and then I have a question, but typically they're not answering my question. They're going to the irs.gov, pulling up the tax code and reading.
You could do the same thing.
I could do the same thing. So it was really a confidence thing for me to get to the point where I could cut the middleman out. And then from there, I realized I was good at it. But then the challenge was, okay, how do I get customers to come to me, right? Because it's one thing to be good at it, but if nobody knows that you're good at it, then you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah. So how'd you do that?
So the opening up the brick and mortar for me was the game changer. I did probably 5 years where I was doing remote tax preparation, and this was before COVID. So I had been doing the Zoom dance before people were comfortable with Zoom, you know, and that was hard to convince somebody, hey, give me your social security number over Zoom. And, you know, I'm at a Starbucks working right now, you know, something about having that brick and mortar where people could come to my location. They were able to look me in my eyes, see the office, see that I've invested into here, made people feel more comfortable.
Sense of security.
Exactly. It's just a level of professionalism. Now, do I recommend the brick and mortar dance for every business? Absolutely not. It is one of the most difficult things, especially in the tax business, because it's seasonal. But most of the time when you get a real estate, like a commercial real estate, you got to pay throughout the year. And so it has to, the math has to math. And for most situations, it doesn't make sense to do that. And we're in a phase of the world where you don't need to have a commercial real estate space to do business. So if your business doesn't require brick and mortar, don't do that dance, right? But for me in the tax industry where trust is so important, being able to look me in my eye and, you know, feel my energy, sit down and open up to me about your finances, because the only thing more intimate than your money is your sex life, right? So when we sit down and we talk about it sometimes makes people a little uncomfortable. So I want you to like feel my aura. I want you to understand, like, I get this, tell me what your problem is, and here I am, here to solve it.
Bad. This is our question. Do you remember the first person you did taxes for?
Myself, I guess. I did my like, that was the actual first tax return that I did. That is a good question.
Like the first one that wasn't you.
Oh,
like you got they business in your hands type shit.
So I started with individual tax preparation, but I honestly am not going to even try to embellish the story. I can't remember. I've done so many tax returns too. I have people like here in Denver that I did their taxes. And they're like, hey, yo, you did my taxes. And I'm like,
I did.
I did. And it's not because I don't remember people or I don't care. It's just the sheer volume. Like, we do what most people do in a year in 4 months. So I'm dealing with a lot of people, Zoom. I do taxes in all 50 states. I do international taxes. So it'd be a lot of volume. So I don't always remember everybody, and I'm not going to front and act like I remember 9 years ago the whoever popped my tax cherry.
Your tax cherry. Damn. What is international taxes like? Is it just like U.S. shit?
No, it's completely different. And So, for example, Europe, their tax season is from June to July, very short, 2 months.
Yeah.
Depending on the country that you live in, you can actually have tax obligations in the United States. So, when I lived in Colombia, there was a whole community of expats, that's what they call them, people who have basically renounced their United States life to live overseas. But the Uncle Sam don't play around. He wants his coins wherever you are because you're an American citizen. So a lot of the international tax stuff is more strategy, helping people who have given up their United States citizenship, but they still have tax liability here in the United States. Maybe they haven't like fully given up their roots, or their nationality hasn't been fully converted over to whatever country they're in, helping them mitigate so that they're not paying double taxation. And that's the stuff, that's my jam. Like, regular tax is cool, but tax strategy, I live for that. I really do.
So what's some of the top things that people misunderstand about really just the tax filing process and just paying taxes in general?
Everything.
So
Like, it's the most misunderstood thing, and the reason why is that you could ask 10 out of 10 people and ask them, did you ever learn in school about taxes? And they're going to tell you no. I had to get a master's degree in accountancy to get my first tax class, like official tax class. So it's everything about it is misunderstood. And not only is it misunderstood, but for most people it's stressful. They think the IRS is this big mob dog trying to come for their coins, and if they don't do their taxes right, they're going to jail. And there definitely are some cases like that, but for the typical person, if you do your taxes wrong, you're just gonna have to pay a little extra, right? Now if you're doing tax fraud, you're gonna face jail time for sure when they catch you. Not if, when they catch you. But the most thing I think that's misunderstood is all of it. The fact like that you're responsible to know that. It's like any law, right? If you're driving your car and you didn't know that running a red light was illegal, when the cops pull you over, they're not going to lean on the fact that you didn't know. So I think for the average taxpayer, the fact that they're responsible to understand their own tax return, and if you asked the average taxpayer to read their individual tax return, they couldn't do it. They don't even know what it is.
Shit, I couldn't.
Yeah, and it's really not that complicated. I could break it down to you in 5 minutes.
Do it.
I need a tax return.
Damn, all right. I got one.
But no, basically, I could kind of do it from a general perspective, right? The tax return, most times it can be like 30 pages, right? The first 2 pages are the most important ones. It breaks down your income, then your deductions, any credits that you have, any payments that you made, and the difference between what you were supposed to pay and what you did pay is whether you're getting a refund or not. Everything else behind there is just kind of backup, like when we were in school, right, in your math class, show your work. That's what all those other pages are. Now, where it gets complicated is when you want to do tax strategy, because tax avoidance is completely legal. You can avoid taxes legally.
Mr. Trump.
Yeah, tax avoidance, right? Tax evasion is completely illegal, and that's meaning evading taxes, meaning you know that you had a tax liability and you evaded it. That's when you can end up in jail. So
okay. Damn, this is very informative. This is probably my favorite one so far.
Really?
Yeah, because it's ain't about music and shit.
Yeah, but it relates to every industry. Musicians gotta understand it. You gotta understand the tax liability. It doesn't matter what you do. One thing that you're gonna do for sure in this lifetime is die. The other thing is do your motherfucking taxes. Right?
Do you think like schools purposely not teach people?
Absolutely. Let me tell you this. Littleton Public Schools.
Yeah.
Littleton Public Schools, so that's 40 minutes up the road. Their high schoolers graduate with tax education. Denver Public Schools does not. So when you talk about systematic disenfranchising our youth, because they know in Montbello, they know Denver Public Schools, East High School, these are mostly minority youth. Littleton is mostly not minority youth. So why are we getting different education?
Right. Different advantages.
Yeah, different advantages on basic skills. You're learning algebra. Algebra's dope. I love it. Math is my jam. But I would have preferred to have learned how to do my own taxes in high school than to learn how to do algebra if I could have chosen, and if I could choose for my my kids that I'm raising what I think is important for them to know, something that they're going to have to do every year that they earn income.
Right.
They should learn that.
It's a setup.
Yeah.
It's definitely a trap. Talk about nonprofits.
That's my other jam.
Twinkle in their eye.
Yes.
Nonprofits.
You want to get me excited? So I'm rather new to the nonprofit game. I have been doing, when I did a little phase where I explained I worked to try to understand everything. So when I was in Atlanta, I actually worked for a nonprofit. I was in the accounting department and specifically doing what they call accounts receivable. That means collecting the money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all this money.
Collecting a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's different entities. And so that was the first thing that sparked my mind about nonprofits, because I had this image in my mind about nonprofits is that they're little community organizations that are struggling, the paint's falling off the wall, and they're just trying to help people and no one's getting paid. The furthest thing from the truth. Nonprofits make a lot of money. Now, they don't profit, meaning that they still have to use that money for their specific programs. Right. But the thing that's really interesting about that is that the programs don't run without the people. Okay, so what do I mean by that is that everybody that works for a nonprofit is getting paid. Right. And so for me, the last 10 years, I've been hustling, running this small business, trying to figure out how to, bootstrap it, because you know how it is, being disenfranchised from a young age. I got a master's degree. So I walked out 22 years old into the real world. I had so much debt. I can't sit in nobody's loan office and ask for a startup loan to get my business going. They're looking at my credit, and not from a low score standpoint, just you got all that debt, get that down. So bootstrapping my small business, right? And the overall goal for me was just to be able to create a lifestyle through my business where I had time and money. Those are the most important things. That's how you measure wealth, in my opinion, is being able to control your time, which is a limited resource, and have control of your money. Okay, so I'm thinking the small business route is the way to do it. 10 years consistently striving, trying to make this small business work, trying to get individuals to see the value in understanding their taxes outside of tax season. Because during tax season, everybody's lining up. But May, the money dries up, and I'm having to do other things, bookkeeping, got into life insurance, trying to find all these different ways to keep the revenue flowing. And then I had this idea. I was like, you know what? Nobody understands this tax stuff. And the problem is, again, like I said, it's rooted from the point of their actual education. They're not learning it in school. They're expected to do it as adult. They have one bad experience, maybe coming out the gate, where they do their tax, like their mom tells them it's easy. They do their taxes on TurboTax. They get that letter. Then they go to H&R Block. The whole experience was traumatic. Now, every year, come April, they're literally having a heart attack. And that's just the individual side, right? Then there's small business taxes as well, which get complicated. You got sales tax, you got payroll tax, you got income tax, right? 3 different areas that could get really, really tricky. So I came up with this idea. I was like, I want to really help people get tax education and combine it with doing great tax services, right? Keep my for-profit, because I put 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears in it. But I also want to do the community work, and I have a big heart, Vic. People be coming into my office, they give me a sad story. I'll be like, I'll do your taxes for free. I'll do your taxes for free. Like, I be showing mad love. I really do. I care about my community. But I had to learn the hard way that within a for-profit, you can't show love. You will literally have, that's what your nonprofit is for. That's where you do your heart work. That's where you do your philanthropy, right? That's where you do your altruism. You can't do that in your for-profit, because it is going to affect your bottom line. And the IRS is cool with you claiming a loss a couple of years, but after a certain amount of years, you claim on a loss back to back, they're going to send you a letter that says you're not running a business, that's a hobby. go
Pretty
knit,
much.
you know?
Go get you a job.
Yeah, go get active, but you're not going to keep claiming all these losses.
Right.
So it took me, I've had this vision for the nonprofit for many years, but it took me a long time to really educate myself and structure it, because I have been doing the bookkeeping, the accounting side for nonprofits outside of tax season, but actually putting it together, doing the application. So January of this year, we officially started our nonprofit entity, Easy Tax Academy. And when I tell you, Vic, our first year as a nonprofit, we have made more than my for-profit has ever made, like in a full year. And that's through grant funding. So let me break it down, because you're probably like, how, right? So nonprofits are able to apply for, they make money in very specific ways. Like a for-profit, you're typically selling a product or a service, right? A nonprofit can get money a couple of different ways. They can get donations from like the public, people that believe in the nonprofit, that want to support it. They can actually come out of their own own pocket, make a donation, and then that donation is tax exempt, meaning they can write that off on their taxes.
Right.
A nonprofit can also do contracts. They can do contracts with the government. They can do contracts with other nonprofits. They can do contracts with for-profits. Okay. And then they can also do what's called fee for service, which is a type of contract as well. That is basically, they can perform a service, charge a fee for it. Okay? And then they can also get grant funding as well. So they have all these different avenues, and each one of those avenues has millions of dollars waiting for you, whether it be the contracting route, whether it be donations. I specifically have been focusing in on grants and contracts. So this very first year of us starting the nonprofit, of course, there's a paperwork process. I'm not going to act like it's this, you just wake up one day and say, I'm a nonprofit. Right. You got to do the paperwork, right? The paperwork is not too complicated. It took 3 weeks for me to get the 501c3 status. That's tax exempt. So now every dollar that comes into the nonprofit is not taxable. That's not my for-profit, my nonprofit. Okay. And then once we got that status, I started applying for grant funding, and again, had to create a board. That's important. That's part of the process. You got to have oversight within your nonprofit. You got to have people that you can go to and say, hey, we're thinking about this, give me some feedback. You know, the board really does serve as like a branch of, almost like a council, where when you're wanting to execute things, they help you navigate that space. They use their expertise, all of that piece. But through the nonprofit, I was able to put myself on a salary, and I'm doing the same work that I did when I was running the small business, but getting paid a salary for it. So I'm the program director. I put all of the programs together. I go out and create different programs for small businesses, youth, and people that are interested in joining the tax workforce. So that's kind of the 3 areas that we tackle it under. And right now we have a contract with Mile High United Way, which it's actually—
That's big.
Yeah, really, really big. So this is federal money. During COVID, the federal government set aside money to help small businesses stay alive, because they recognized how much our small business really does matter in the grand scheme of things. So they put together what's called the American Rescue Plan Act, billions of dollars. Okay, that money got allocated to different government entities. So the city of Denver got some of the money. For most of those different government entities, they were giving it out during COVID. The city of Denver sat on their money, which I think was a really powerful move. And then they started doing grants during 2022, late 2022, even all the way until early 2023. There's actually a grant open right now that's available to small businesses that were impacted by COVID. Where we came in with the contract is we do what's called technical assistance. So those small businesses that maybe wanted to get the grant, but they didn't have their profit and loss, because if you're a business and you don't have a profit and loss, you can't go to anybody's bank. You can't apply for anybody's grants because they need to see those financials. Those same businesses may not have ever done their taxes because they didn't know how to do it. So we do the technical assistance, and that's how that contract works specifically. So
wow. So I can do that with my company.
You could, yeah. You could start a nonprofit if you wanted to. With your for-profit, you could also contract with nonprofits as well. I always recommend, though, to every small business owner with a heart, gotta have one of these beating in your chest, and a heart for your community, meaning like you see the issues that are happening and you want to make a change. You see the youth need an outlet. They would benefit from learning how to do a podcast. So you put together an academy where you teach them how to do the same thing that you had to learn. You spent 10 years bumping your head doing. You put an academy together, right? And this keeps the kids out of the streets, keeps them from killing each other. The government will pay you to do things like that because that's a service that they can't do themselves. You know, and their remedy is put these kids in jail. But if they can be in a program where they're learning something productive, learning a technical skill that can carry over into their future, man, it gets to be where you're checking two boxes, where you're doing that heart-centered work and you're also being well compensated. And then again, you're still doing that thing where I control my time and my money. As the executive director, I'm making my own schedule. You better believe that.
I love it.
It's so beautiful.
This is very informative, very fucking motivating.
It is.
What are you most proud of in all that you do?
Man, that's a really good question as well.
I know you're proud of a lot.
Yeah, there's so much to be proud of because at one point in time, so much of this lived in my mind, in my journals. I would write about this stuff. I would see other businesses doing it. So if I had to like really kind of capture the pride, the feeling of like, wow, this is real, I think I'm most proud of my ability to like carry through and birth the vision.
Brought it to life.
Yes, and then I'm getting to see how many people it impacts, where it's like it's starting to get exponential. I'm seeing the ripples, because there was a point in time where it was like I was giving a lot and not getting anything out of it financially, but the feeling of like I helped that person felt so good that it was like worth it. And now it's getting to the point where it's like I'm not taking L's and I'm helping people, so it's mutually beneficial. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that now the relationship, everybody wins. And being able to create scenarios like that, to me, is like there's nothing else like that, where it's a win-win for everybody. You know, you didn't have to pay me, but I'm still able to provide you with the advice and the technical assistance that you needed. The government was able to take that burden off of their hands. All of us are winning. Man, that's amazing. I love it.
So you are living your dream right now.
I really am.
That's dope.
But you know, it's crazy because I think any serial entrepreneur, and I definitely consider myself to be a serial entrepreneur, can relate that even living the dream, you always be like, there's another level. And there's other things that you want to achieve. It's never enough. And it's not that I'm not satisfied or not grateful. I just recognize, like, jumping through this specific portal made me realize, like, oh,
it's a whole nother world you can conquer.
Can portal jump? Okay, well then let me put these goals and make them a little bit bigger. And so right now, one of the biggest things that I'm working on manifesting, and I'm very spiritual about it, like I bring my spirituality into my business. We have rituals going and everything. And but it's all for the good. Like I'm not doing anything, you know, nobody is impacted negatively through my spirituality. On the contrary, I really believe that through working with me, like if I touch your business, it turns to gold. And I truly believe that. Like I want the best for everything that I touch. Any business that I come in contact with, that they get the education and there's a seed planted within the owner, within the culture of the business, for growth, prosperity, abundance, everything that's good for the collective.
You are definitely a powerful woman, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, babe.
For real.
I appreciate that.
Can you talk about some crazy experiences you had on this journey?
Man, I tell my business partner, Ty, all the time, we could literally have a reality TV show in the office.
Yeah.
Because, and I love my clients. I'm not like gonna get on anybody particular. I'll just say it goes down in the office. It's hilarious. And it's not like, again, I'm not trying to like pick on anybody or laugh at people. It's just like, some of it is interesting. It gets really interesting, but there's been so many crazy situations. Like at this point, nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises me. I will say that the craziest thing that I don't like encountering is people trying to get me to get down with fraud shit. I don't do it because I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this that it's not worth it for me.
Disrespecting yourself.
It's disrespectful, yeah. And sometimes because we've leveraged ourselves as like the black tax business, which I love, because again, as a black woman, I want to be able to create spaces where black people can come in. They feel like, oh, okay, this is us, and it's a very professional experience.
Super legit.
Yeah, but I stand on that, and so I've had some uncomfortable situations where I had to tell people in the nicest way possible, hit the door, because there's other places that if that's what you want, you can go get that, but you're not bringing that into my culture, you're not bringing it into my organization. I don't play around with it at all.
I love it. So when you're not Auri, Miss Easy Tax, who are you?
I have many facets. I'm like a diamond ring. Depending on the light that you shine on me, you'll see different sides of me.
So you a poet too?
I've heard I have the gift of gab. I'm an artist, though. I paint. And my first year brick and mortar was so devastatingly difficult. It even just, look, I touch my heart because I'm just like, give myself some compassion because I survived that year. I lost probably close to 30 pounds. I was so stressed out. Hair was falling out. I wasn't sleeping, barely got to see my children. Like, I had to give everything to my business. It was literally a newborn baby. And even though I had been doing the work forever, having people on payroll, running an actual establishment, like everything was on me. There were times where I had to clean the toilet. Like, I didn't sign up for that shit. But if I don't clean this toilet, who's gonna clean it, you know? And the only reprieve that I had was painting. And so a lot of my pain would go into the painting, and I would have nights where I just would be up crying, and I have these canvases and I would paint, and it really like saved me. I'm at the point now where I don't pour my pain into my paintings. It's now like I'm finding it to be more enjoyable. And so I have this like goal where I want to like do like an art tour outside of tax season one year, where like from the spring to the summer, just travel all over at different like art shows. So I'm trying to work on building up my my catalog of paintings so that I have enough to really like fill a booth up. So that's one side. And then I have, again, that super spiritual side of myself as well, that's like grounded in my feminine power and understanding where I came from and what I'm able to do, where I'm going. So I spend a lot of time doing self-development, spend a lot of time just pouring into myself to be like, I want to be a positive force. Like, I really like when people interact with me and they feel uplifted. I really believe that like that's how interactions should be. And so I really do a lot of work to just try to keep myself well maintained spiritually and keep my mind really positive so that when you interact with me, I can pour that into you.
You're doing good at that shit.
Thank you. I'm also a mother too, so that's a whole dance.
Talk about your kids.
Aw, my babies. I've got 2 babies, a boy and a girl, 4 and 2 years old, and they're just absolutely amazing. I'm doing the single mother dance. I hate that term because it's associated with so much negativity, so I try to just use the term mother because it really fits what I'm doing. But I'm balancing it out with my career. And that's why, again, it was so important for me to recognize, like, I got to be really strategic with how I'm spending my time, because the biggest thing to me, part of the reason why I waited to have kids, because I didn't understand, like, wait a second, the kids get out of school at 3. If I'm working a 9 to 5, I'm supposed to be there till 5, I guess, after school programs, but I'm trying to be that person that picks my kids up at 3 o'clock. And I've built that lifestyle where I can pick up my kids every day from school and lock in, spend time with them. I'm gonna do the night shift, that's for sure. I'm a moonlighter. I'm gonna be up from probably 9 to 11, knocking out a couple emails, doing things that I didn't achieve during the day, but my kids get time with me, which I feel like that was the biggest thing for me that I wanted to have in my motherhood, was time with my babies.
So you living a unique but free life, and you built that shit yourself.
Yeah, there's levels to freedom though.
Yeah.
There's levels to freedom. I feel like I'm in the room. Freedom definitely exists in the room that I'm standing in, but I know there's higher levels of it.
Yeah.
So I've been really in my mind trying to think of how do I get to that next level of freedom.
You'll get there. I mean,
Definitely.
you're already on the right track. It's like, it's undeniable that you're going to be in that space real soon.
Definitely.
So, I'm trying to be like you.
You're there too.
Sort of.
You know what it boils down to is the day-to-day decisions. It took me a long time to choose freedom, because a lot of the times I was saying yes to things that I didn't have to say yes to. And my mentor taught me that you have options besides saying yes and no. You can defer things, you can delegate things, you can straight up delete things, and you can do things. So finding which one of those 3 things or those 4 Ds fits the situation, and you don't have to do it in the moment. You can be like, let me think about that. I was so bad at that. I always felt like I had to give a yes in the moment, and that shit
that pressure.
It bite me in the butt, and it got me to a space where I was over promising, under delivering. You always want to do the opposite. Under promise, over deliver. I want to keep you in a wow space.
Damn, that was me too. Always saying yes to some shit I know I really don't want to do.
You gotta say,
but you don't want to hurt nobody, but you never hurt yourself.
Exactly. And then, and especially when you're a one-man team, you're hurting yourself. When you get to that point where you could delegate, look, the interns get paid to do that. It's a paid internship. Right. But if it's me and I gotta do it, and I know I don't like doing that stuff, I'm not saying yes anymore. But I'm telling you, for a while, I literally had to look myself in the eye and be like, say no, practice saying no. And like, I got good at it. Like, it's okay to say no.
Bet. Here's a random question.
Okay.
Before I get to the actual random questions, how do you feel?
I feel amazing. Sometimes I feel like I'm living a dream. Like, I'm into lucid dreaming as well. So I'm like, always checking. I'll like flip a light switch. That's the way that I tell if I'm lucid dreaming or if I'm in this realm. I'll flip light switches. In your dreams, when you flip a light switch, apparently the light doesn't actually work, and I've experienced that. So sometimes I feel like I've created, like I'm in this video game where I kind of like created my environment and my character, and now I'm just like going through the video game like up, down, left, right, box O, or whatever the buttons on the controller. That's honestly, like, that's the best way to describe how I feel. I also feel like I just jumped through a brand new portal, and I use that word like very intentionally because I believe in multiple dimensions as well. Like, it could get real hippie over here. I'm technical as heck, but I have a deep spiritual side as well. And that side of me definitely feels like I'm in a brand new realm that, again, once lived in my mind, and now I've brought it to reality. The difficulty, though, in it is maintaining the vibration that keeps me in this space of bliss.
That's just controlling what you allow around you.
It is.
In your video game world that you built.
And breathing. Man.
Your diet. Plain and simple.
Exactly. Diet is so much more than food.
Yeah, like your overall universal diet.
Yes. So I have moments where it's like I'll shift, I'll go into those like lower vibrational spaces, but I know how to get myself back to my equilibrium where I like to be. that high vibrational.
I learned that too recently, probably like the past 2 years.
Yes.
Because I can get low and don't know how to get out of low. But phone ringing, sorry. I know how to get out of that shit now. So the interview is pretty much over.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We got the bulk of who Auri is and her business and what she gets excited about and what she specializes in and all that good shit and how she feels.
Yes.
I got a bunch of random questions I ask every guest.
Ask away.
They're not invasive. They just some random shit to pick your brain. Nothing crazy. Favorite non-work activity? You probably already answered this.
Oh, yeah, painting.
All right. When life gets tough, who's your crutch?
Who?
Yeah, or what?
I don't have to tell you all that. Just know I got
tough,
somebody.
Yeah, who or what is your crutch?
I got somebody that I can call that always lifts me up. But even deeper than that, I have this like grounding. I have like set things that I can do to like bring myself back to equilibrium.
Bad. Mexican or soul food?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I'm gonna say soul food just because it makes you so comfortable.
Make me sleepy.
Yes.
Skydive or swim with sharks?
I'm gonna opt out of both activities and I'll just sip a little martini on the beach and watch you do both.
Watch you die.
I'm gonna choose life.
All right. I guess wine or Moscato?
I feel like, are they the same? I'm not much of a drinker.
I'm not a drinker, so I just thought that one on the fly. It ain't on the paper.
Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker, so I'm gonna stay sober.
Bet. Water.
Yes, cucumber water. That's my jam.
With lemon? You put lemon in there?
Key lime. And a little bit of mint too. Ooh, refreshing.
Ooh.
Yes.
I stepped my game up. I was just doing cucumber and lemon. Best restaurant of all time?
Ooh. So, depends on what city I'm in. Let's just stick with Denver because we're in Denver. Oh, that's a tough one as well. What's the best restaurant in Denver? I like sushi, I'm not gonna lie. So Hoppa's like my favorite. Like if you just want to win my heart, take me on a date to Hoppa. Like that's my favorite little spot to go. And their menu is like erotic, so it's kind of like fun ordering, making the waiter kind of uncomfortable.
How the waiter get uncomfortable when they work there?
True, but you, like there's a certain way that you can order it where you can like make them feel like
fuck them up.
Yeah. Yeah, if you know the Hoppa menu, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I ain't never been there. I ain't never heard of them, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I'm not a sushi guy. Greatest music artist of all time?
That is a good question. So, oh gosh. So, of all time, or can I do like right now who I'm rocking with hardcore and then like of all time?
All right, go ahead.
Okay,
who
I'm rocking with right now is Brent Fayez. I'm going to his concert. That's my man. I love me some Brent Fayez. Yeah, he said he makes his music for narcissistic sociopaths. And I was like,
damn.
I had to look in the mirror, but I like his music. Of all time, I'm a big Tupac fan.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
You eat sandwiches?
I went to Firehouse yesterday, actually.
The perfect sandwich. What's on your perfect sandwich?
Oh, okay. See, for me, when I want a sandwich, Firehouse is where I go, and I just get the New York steamer.
What's on there?
I don't even know. It's like something delicious.
Just a bunch of delicious shit?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what's on it. I just know that one right there.
It ain't like pepperoni, ham.
I don't know what the meat is on that sandwich, but it's so good. I'm telling you. Firehouse Stubbs, New York steamer.
We need a sponsorship, Firehouse.
Yes.
All right. Most favorite shoe of all time?
I'm not a big shoe girl, so I would say flip-flops.
Hey, the last lady said the same thing. Sandals.
Yeah, I will like literally sandals. Like even I'm wearing my Chucks right now. People make fun of me because I'll sometimes step on the back of my Chucks and like make them slides. So I'm not really big. I never was into shoes.
So you in the slides?
Yeah, slides. comfort,
style.
open toe. I like to spread my toes out. So any shoe that I could do that in is a winning shoe.
All right. I'll fuck with it. You're gonna fill in the blank.
Okay.
I look for blank in a man.
Ooh.
One word.
Posture.
Posture.
Yes.
I never heard that.
Posture means so much in a man. How he stands tells me everything I need to know about him.
What if his knees is bad?
He better put it. I feel like posture isn't about the knees. It's that chest, them shoulders, what them things.
That, right?
Yeah, that stands to let me know, like, you're a dominant man. That's really what I look for. But the posture is the subtle indicator of his ability to lead.
Okay. I've never heard that. Noted. What is something a customer can say to immediately turn you off? Where y'all vibing, y'all good, and you about to get to work, and they say that one thing, you like, nah.
You be hooking up them taxes?
Duh.
That kind of stuff. I'd be like,
Duh.
yeah. Oh, and best believe I get asked that at least once a day if I can do tax fraud, and I'm not going for it. So that'll get you put out my chair.
I think for me, my immediate turn off is just like downplaying what I do in any way. You only doing this type shit. All you gotta do is,
like, if it was that easy, bro, you do it.
you'll be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck out my face, that.
But I even feel like the turn off experiences are educational, because not only am I going to get this back in alignment, but we're gonna do work on my terms, and you're gonna follow my lead if you want to work with me. You're trusting me to do that.
I fuck with it.
Yeah.
Your happiest moment this year?
I think getting that 501c3 status, that was the first happiest moment. And then getting the grant, every time we get a grant or we get a contract, I just get super excited, not because I'm pocketing all the money, but it means that I get to expand the operations of the nonprofit. So I've had a few like moments where I was like, you know, when you get good news and you just have to just do a little jig to, like, you know, you feel me? That good news dance.
Because it's been some big ones for me that I'm surprised that.
Yeah.
Little old me is, man, that's a whole other.
I love those W's for you too. You deserve them.
Man, Nate, I am gonna get started. I'm gonna get emotional in this bitch. What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? Somebody should open your eyes.
Yes, the first thing that I do is I recall what I dreamed about, because I believe my dreams are parallel dimensions, and I want to have relationships with all of the dimensions in which I exist in. So I sit there in my bed for a moment and I recall my dream. I dream every night. I dream vividly, but if I don't take out my journal and write it down, I won't remember the dream. So that's my first activity.
You're a very interesting person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a whole morning success ritual too that I really believe that, like, if you can start your mornings out, and this is rather new, the morning success ritual, I had to like really get put onto it, but I learned that how you start your day matters. How you start and end your day matters. So being very intentional about everything that happens in that first hour of the day. I don't do meetings anymore till after 11 a.m. because I'm so protective over my morning and my morning ritual.
I try not to come in here till about 1.
You gotta protect that and own your time. If that's how you want to run your business, that's how you run your business. Of course, try, right? Because there's always gonna be that, like,
you gotta, you still gotta make a little adjustment.
I'm gonna do a little jig for this one.
Yeah.
That price is right, but for the most part, I'm able to stick to that as well.
Man, inspiring, I will say.
Thank you.
Top 3 movies of all time.
That's a great question as well. A Bronx Tale is my favorite movie.
Oh, with
Robert De Niro.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite movies. He's one of my favorite actors. I also like the first Avatar a lot.
It was real good.
Yes.
It was long as hell, but it was good.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed in the second one. It was still good, but that first one was like talking about that universal consciousness, that plug-in, that connection. Ooh, I love that kind of stuff. And then more recently, I discovered this movie, and I think everybody should watch it, especially if you're like me and you believe in different realities, parallel universes, portal jumping, all of that. Waking Life. I got put onto that movie, and I tell you, I watch it at least once a month. It is so good.
Waking Life?
Waking Life. It's about the dream world and like really understanding the parallel line between life, death, and dreams. But it's kind of like cartoon, visual, but
but it makes you think. And
man, game changer.
What is the most important thing you've ever done?
This is gonna sound cliche, but becoming a mother, like birthing my kids, I think was the most important thing that I ever did, because I look at them and I'm just, every time I'm like, dang, you came from me.
Yeah.
You know, like you're the continuation of me. And so not only birthing them, but doing motherhood, I think is the most important thing that I do, because there's a lot of like leaders, for example, like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King Jr., where their kids felt like you gave so much to the community, but you lacked at home.
Right.
I didn't get the Nelson Mandela that the community got. So I try to make sure that my kids get more than what I give so much to my community. I try to make sure that my kids get more than what I give away to the community, because what did I do if I gave it all away but neglected my home, you know?
Yeah. Some blessed kids then. If they get more than what you give to the community, they got it made.
Yeah.
All right. If I didn't have my creative outlet, not business outlet, if I didn't have my creative outlet, gonna finish that sentence.
If I didn't have my creative outlet, I would stress. I would bottle it all up, and it would probably explode and create what do they call it? A solar flare.
Scorch the earth and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good for all of humanity that I have my creative outlet, which is painting.
All right, bet. So that's it.
Okay.
We've done the interview. We asked the randoms. We got to know you. This is the portion of the episode where I tell my guests to talk their shit.
Okay.
So at this time, you can look at the camera and say anything to whoever, however, whatever. Promote yourself, whatever you want to do. Just talk your shit.
So the main thing I want to get out there, the message is to all the small business owners who are out there working hard. Don't give up. No matter how hard it gets, don't give up, but also don't keep doing the same thing. If it's not working, don't be afraid to pivot. Sometimes you have to literally like break the contract, right? And that, when I say that, I'm talking about the contract that you have with yourself that's leading you to get into this rat race. Because sometimes as small business owners, we can think that we're really doing it, but all we've done is basically create a 9-to-5 for ourselves. There's so many higher levels of freedom, and if you're feeling trapped in your business and you want to get to the next level, take that step, jump through that portal, do the research, understand it, get your shit together, keep it organized, go for the funding, go for the money, but you got to have your back end tight. So if you need an accountant, I'm your girl. If you need a tax lady, holler at me. My name again is Auri. You might find me online as Ariel. That's my full name. I've got my YouTube channel, which is awesome. You can get a lot of resources on there. Just type in Ariel Ramsey into YouTube. If you're wanting to get into the program right now that we're doing with Mile High United Way, where you can get technical assistance for your small business for the rest of 2023, please reach out to me, whether it be through Facebook or you can do my personal Facebook, which is Ariel Ramsey. It's actually a business Facebook now. or you can reach out through the business Facebooks. There's Easy Tax Denver, and then there's Easy Tax Academy, which is the nonprofit. We can get you enrolled in that program, and I can help you with your bookkeeping free of charge for the rest of the year. So I really just want to encourage the small business owners to like never give up. Don't give up on your dreams, because you're important. What you're doing really is impactful. If you want to bring your heart into it, right? That big old heart that you've been giving away your products and your services, I encourage you, consider starting a nonprofit. It's not we set it up and we start getting grants. It's a process, and if you need help with that from a strategic standpoint, I would love to help you navigate that as well. So please lean on me. I'm a resource. I'm here for you. I definitely get busy, and the people that know that work with me, if you want to reach me, the best way to do it is to get an appointment with me. And all of my social media, all of my different business platforms have my calendar link. Book an appointment. Don't be sending me emails and text messages. I'm not good at that stuff. I'm gonna keep it extra 100 with you. I'm trying to get better, trying to delegate that stuff, but I just prefer to like set up a meeting with you, and that's why I keep my calendar link available. That calendar link has my real availability. You can get on a Zoom call with me this week if you need to, because I'm able to be reached best through that platform. So again, Ariel Ramsey, Easy Tax Denver, Easy Tax Academy, those are my jams. My team is also legitimate. Tyann Powell, she is also a great resource if you need insights. She is the tax lady in Denver, and just as much as I know, she knows as well. So definitely don't hesitate to utilize my team as well.
Bad. I'm Vic Carter. This is Auri, Boss Lady, Easy Tax.
Easy Tax Lady.
This has been another episode. It was good.